Hey guys, and welcome to our very first episode. We are the TBR Network. My name is Tara.
I'm Nikki.
And I'm Frankie.
Asha, unfortunately, will not be joining us today, but hopefully they will be in a later episode. But today we will be reviewing and talking about the book Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. This is supposed to be a young adult new age fantasy novel that has been highly recommended across social media. Like, it is beloved across social media.
All over the place.
All over. Like, it has flooded our feeds completely.
For any good reason.
It's one of the reasons why we chose to do this book for our first episode. But it right now currently has a 4.7 rating on Goodreads, a 4.8 rating on Target.com, and is the fifth book on the New York Times bestseller list, which it's, I guess, been on there for a few weeks now, like since it premiered, like debuted, whatever.
Both the same thing.
Debuted, yeah. This review is going to have spoilers, so if you haven't read the book,
spoiler alert.
Exit. A spoiler alert, you've been warned. Go read the book, come back and watch.
Right.
And like, we do want to say that if you like this book, that's good. Great. Love the book. That's perfectly fine with us. This is our own opinions and we're allowed to have them. So if you do not like criticisms on something that you love, I would not suggest sitting in on this. Find somebody else to watch. Our take might be controversial, it might not, but it's not going to be for everyone. But we do hope that you want to stick around, enjoy, and have a conversation with us. So let's go ahead and get started.
All right. Are you guys ready for my synopsis of this story?
Absolutely.
So Violet Soaringale, our main character, is set to attend an elite military college where she is forced into the writer's quadrant by her mother, who just so happens to be not only the general, but the head of the school at the same time. So imagine, like, having your mom as your principal. It's not gonna go well. Where she will learn how to ride dragons.
Only if she actually sees her.
Right. Where she will learn how to ride dragons if she can survive. And then I have a quote for y'all. A dragon without its rider is a tragedy. A rider without their dragon is dead. Article
Period.
1, Section 1, the Dragon Riders Codex. The reason I picked that quote is because this is said over and over and over throughout this book. And it, to me, summarizes it pretty well. But yeah.
So we're going to kind of break down the book, starting with the beginning. We are calling this section the parapet, just because that is the main item that happens in this first section. And there's a lot of nothingness in this book. Like, there's parts where they literally skip over like weeks or months. So we had to pick like certain scenes to define what each section is. And so the first section, our first part, it's going to be the parapet. And this story basically opens up where our main character, Violet Soaringale, is struggling to climb stairs because she's got a 30-pound rucksack, and stairs are actually kind of hard. It's very tiring to climb them.
Wouldn't be me.
I used to dread that in middle school because our my home ec class was on the third floor. I had a 4 floor. My middle school had 4 floors, and the home ec class was on the 4th floor. So all I'm imagining is I'm Violet climbing those stairs, carrying my backpack, and that's what was happening.
The way I imagined it was, you know how when you go get groceries and you only want to make one trip?
No, you do not do multiple. You have like your arm
Exactly.
covered in bags, but it sucks if you like
You live on like the second or third floor. Oh my
Yep.
god.
Oh yeah, in an apartment. Yeah, in an apartment, or if you got a porch that's raised.
See,
So
I thought of it as like, you know those water slides you'd go on as a
Oh
kid?
my god.
oh, that they're like 6 feet high.
Yeah, and you just go up those
You gotta
winding
climb a
stairs.
mountain to get them.
Yeah, while trying to hold on for dear life because it's slippery.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
that's how I imagine it.
So that's how it opens up. She is struggling to climb these stairs. She overfilled her bag with books, as we later learn. And she comes to her mom's office in this building at the top of these stairs, and she hears her mom arguing with her sister. And her sister is trying to convince her mom not to send Violet to the Rider Quadrant, because Violet, as she says herself, she is not trained for this. She hasn't been preparing her entire life like everyone else for the Writer's Quadrant. She is
A scribe.
a book nerd.
She's a scribe.
She's a
She's a
She
nerd.
follows in her father's footsteps.
Yeah.
So her mother was a writer, her father was a scribe.
Yeah.
Her brother and her sister were writers.
Also writers.
And she was not.
She's just not like them. She's not like them. They're both like, we don't get a description for her brother, but her sister is described as being tall and athletic and like
The golden
being
child.
the epitome. Yeah, the epitome and the golden child of what a writer should be. While she is very different, she's described as the petite, oh so small,
Weak, fragile.
weak heroine, with her dark to silver hair, and her pale skin, because she just stays in the library all the time.
She lacks vitamin D.
She
In multiple ways.
she'll get some later. But we open up to that, and then like obviously they fail. Her sister's like, she's too weak to do this, and of course Violet's like, how dare you call me weak?
And then the
It
mom
doesn't make her want-
completely just like, no, fuck this. You're doing what I said. Period.
Yeah, she's like, every soaring gale is a writer.
Yeah, and it's like, what? Why are you trying to get your child killed? Like,
We also forgot to
this child is, right?
mention the fact that her father died, who's a scribe, who wanted her to be a scribe and follow in his footsteps. He died 6 months prior to, right? No, like right before the mom decided that she was going to be a writer instead of a scribe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like right after the dad dies.
I think that's what it was. It wasn't very clear of when he died, but it was sometime around when her mom, before the book, when her mom decided, oh, you're going to go to the writer's school, I don't care if you die. Yeah, Mira takes her, she repacks her bag, and then she takes her to the parapet where she's telling her, don't make friends. And what does she do?
Makes friends.
He's the best friend.
Immediately makes friends. She tells her not to make friends and to stay away from our love interest and bad boy, Zayden.
My baby daddy. My baby daddy. My man.
And Frankie loves bad boys, especially this one.
Who doesn't love bad boys?
For real.
So Violet clearly doesn't take her sister's advice at all, because she immediately makes friends. And then also the second she sees Zayden, she doesn't know who he is, but she's like, damn, that is the most fine ass man ever. Like, oh, my God, he was sculpted by gods. His lips took a year. Like, it's a 2-paragraph description of this man.
Yeah.
Nobody else got 2 paragraphs.
My man. I enjoyed every last word.
If anything, that's kind of bit of foreshadowing, but I'll get to that.
Like, nobody else gets 2 paragraphs. He got 2 paragraphs, and he's standing right at the beginning of the parapet. We also got introduced to 3 other characters. We got introduced to Dylan. I don't remember his last name.
R.I.P. Dylan.
Golden Retriever.
Rhiannon. What?
Golden Retriever.
Golden Retriever. Dylan, the Golden Retriever.
Yep.
Rhiannon, or Ree, and Jack Barlow. So
Yeah,
we
that
met,
son of a bitch.
and then she trades shoes with Rhiannon.
The friend
and
that she immediately made.
the best friends immediately, no questions asked.
Saving this girl's life. We know.
Yeah, this is supposed to be a cutthroat school, but she is immediately best friends with this girl.
As like literally, she just left her sister. Her sister said, "Don't make any friends." Boom, first person she talks to, "You're my new friend."
Here's one of my shoes.
Don't make friends, only allies. Here's one of my shoes.
Period.
So we're introduced to these people, and they're doing the parapet. This was something that I didn't realize until like I was going through my notes. So her mom, it said in the beginning that her mom's signet power, which we'll discuss signet powers a little bit later, is storms. And while she's doing the parapet, there is a storm, like immediately when she's supposed to be doing the parapet.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
That timing was a little weird, and maybe it was just a coincidence.
Nope.
But with her mother's insistence of her going, I don't know if that is a coincidence.
No, her mom's a bitch.
She's
hands down. I bet you it wasn't.
If it wasn't, that's actually good writing.
Okay?
Yeah. If we come to find out later that the timing of that storm was not like coincidence or an accident or anything, that would be actually good storytelling right there. But she's on the Dylan goes first, right?
Oh.
Yeah, R.I.P.
Dylan,
Dylan.
the Golden Retriever. Yeah.
We fell in love with him
immediately
instantly. Dies. He was talking about he's got a girlfriend. He's gonna go home to her after graduation. Boom, dead. What was the point?
Yes.
What was the point?
Yes,
what was the reason?
Course.
Yeah, I thought we were
What
going
was
to
the
have
point?
another
It's to be like nobody is safe. Nobody is safe.
Could have done anybody else, but no, he had a loving fiance to go home to. He even had a necklace around with a ring. You know, everybody's dream man, and boom, killed him.
Yep.
It's because of that. We can't have a perfect golden boy for her to fall in love with.
We can't be happy with this book.
No, but the second they were like, he's like, I'm gonna go home and marry my longtime girlfriend, and I'm gonna be super cool and awesome. I knew he was gonna fucking die because we have to only keep one friend for a little while. So one of the two of them had to die.
Typical trope.
And yeah, she didn't want us to get too attached. Anybody can die.
I was attached.
Like, don't get attached.
I was attached already on the left.
They're gonna get a name and they're gonna immediately die because they do not matter.
Yep.
There's a lot of characters in here that it's like they do get a name and then almost immediately die a couple pages later, and it's like, why? Don't give me a name. Don't give me a name. There's no point because I don't have an investment in them.
I don't have the energy to spare.
No, I like for a second there. Yes, I cared about Dylan, but I'm like, you gave him a little backstory. You wanted us to kind of like him. He's gonna fucking die immediately.
Yeah.
The rest of the characters, they're given names, but not like significant backstory. So there's very little care.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
So during the parapet. I want to say parapet because it just sounds so French, you know. But during the parapet, guess who? The one little son of a bitch who decides to attack Violet for no fucking reason. Guess who?
Jack Barlow.
Exactly. Stupid little bitch.
This Yeah, to do a little bitch. This motherfucker like was immediately antagonizing her just so that we knew he was an asshole.
Yeah.
Superiority
Before
complex.
he even, yeah, before we even knew his name, he was antagonizing her in line, and then on the parapet, he's immediately like, "I'm going to kill you." Like he found out who she was, and like for no reason that we can understand, he's like, "I'm gonna kill you. You're mine. You're dead."
So Jack, the dumb asshole.
Oh yeah, and they begin to tussle.
Yep. I think
After
he's
he
the one that
somebody off.
causes not Liam,
Dylan.
Dylan to R.I.P. Did
No,
he?
no, Dylan's Dylan
Thought
was
Dylan
before
flipped.
Rihanna. Dylan went before Ree. So he was going cross, and I guess he was what, halfway through, and then the rain came and he slipped.
Oh, that's
And
right.
then Ree went after him, and she's halfway through when Violet goes, and then Violet's halfway through when Jack goes, and Jack, not even halfway through, turns around to the unnamed character behind him, picks the dude up, and throws him off.
Just another
just to show that
sign.
he's an asshole.
Yeah, just another sign that you don't want to like this character at all.
Exactly.
Yeah. He's gonna be the cartoon antagonist that is just an asshole to be an asshole, and I mean it's accurate. There's people like that in the real world.
People like that across every kind of media did that too.
But yeah, like Frankie said, she's trying to rush across the parapet, and then like this thing, this is one of the few things that I did like in the book.
So one of the things that you really, really liked was the way that she uses information.
The way, yeah, to calm herself while she's crossing the parapet, she starts like listing facts, and I did like that. It like as a character quirk, because like it's something that comforts her and gives her a little bit of character, but it also is a way to give us a little bit of world building and lore. My only problem is the way it was executed. I do wish it had been used a little bit better, and the facts had been a little bit more random and not like so linear and like, oh, this
Just
is this
page fillers.
this.
Yeah.
It was page fillers. It was info dumping, and I think it could have been used better, but I did like it.
I think she does end up using it a little bit better later, but
I don't remember it getting any better. But then again, I did just skip over her little paragraph.
It's history info dumping instead of, and it could have been used better for world building, talking about like it would like, oh, blah blah blah, like different significant names or like plants, or like, oh, the main export for this village is this. Like it could have been world building, but not if it had been a little less info dumping. Like
yeah,
she could have introduced the history of the world in a better way than she did.
So after they have the tussle at the parapet where Violet has Barlow's balls by the knife, we meet Dane.
Oh,
lovely
Dane.
son of a bitch, Dane. Sorry, the hate I have for Dane is up there with Barlow. Like we were introduced Dane like he was this perfect golden boy, great person, you know, like the person, the boy next door type shit.
Yeah, like the one person that her sister was like, oh, I trust him. Go find him. He'll keep you safe.
She finds him, immediately underestimates her. Immediately. After she just made it through the parapet, which is one of the hardest things to get through. Because as we mentioned before, someone slipped and fell. Barlow freaking killed somebody off. And at the death count, what was it? Like 100?
Once everybody finishes, it's like 60 people died on the parapet.
Mm-hmm.
60 people didn't make it through, and then like I think it was 60, and then after that, while they're in formation, a couple more people die when the dragons get introduced, because they get like roasted off. They're and I guess something that she explains is like the statistics are, and I would like to know what like a better breakdown is. Half the first years won't make it, and then half of the second years won't make. Like each year you're gonna have less and less until like your third year you're graduating, and there's only gonna be like a third of what you started with, and that's just bad in my opinion. Like they need to be using these people. They're wasting lives. They need to be using them somewhere else. They fail this, they can go somewhere else.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, it was it's 60 people on the parapet dead right from the beginning.
And then as she's meeting Dane, they're reading off the death count. Like they go name by name by name, like it's nothing. Like they're just reading a morning announcement. Death is nothing to these people.
Yep. Like it's just a fact of life.
Unless
happens
a
every
dragon
day.
dies.
I mean, yeah.
Unless a dragon dies with their rider, then it's meaningful. But if it's during the games and the practices and shit, it don't matter. It don't matter.
Yeah.
So okay.
Yeah.
Dane.
Which is ridiculous. But yeah, Dane is introduced. He's supposed to be the boy next door, the best friend, the childhood best friend, her first love, and she has a thing for him. But when you read, like when he's introduced, he only gets like a couple sentences. Oh, he looks so much more handsome
Nothing
than
in
he used to.
comparison to how she describes Zayden.
Nothing in comparison.
My baby.
No, she's like, oh my god, he's so fucking hot. And then for Dane, it's like, yeah, he's
grown up a little.
He's even cuter than I remember. he's got a
It's like a mom
now.
talking about her son becoming a teenager. That's what it's like.
Right.
Oh my god, he's grown up so much. We do learn when Dane is introduced what his signet is, and it's like he can touch he has to touch you, but he can
see
like,
your memories,
see your most recent memories, which is going to be an issue for
later
us.
Later on.
Yes. But she hurt her leg on the parapet. He gets her bandaged up. They get back out there. They're in formation. They get the death count. And then they go to bed.
You forgot to mention how he tries to get her to go to the scribe quadrant. Like immediately, right after them completing the parapet, Dane's like, "Oh my god, you're injured. You know, like you're an injured puppy. I need to save you. Get you out of here right now." Even though she just beat them and had Barlow by the balls, he's still underestimating her because he sees her as this weak, fragile little girl.
He sees her as his childhood friend, and like I can understand that at the beginning a little bit, but it's later that it becomes a problem. Later, when he just keeps insisting and not like when she's already made up her mind that she's not going to.
Keep in mind, he's done this what, like 5-6 times.
He does it like a dozen times, apparently. Like, and we don't even see all the times that he mentions it. Like I would have liked to see her like contemplate it, be like, yeah, you know what, we can try, and then like back out at the last minute. I would have liked to see her try to sneak back because she talks about how much she loved being a scribe, how much she wanted to be, but we don't see that in action. So I would have liked maybe that, but I at the same time we do have to have her move on really quick so that she can hopefully survive in the rider quadrant.
Well, you kind of see that a little bit later when they're assigned duties. So like when she's got early morning not kitchen duty. It's after the kitchen duty, but like
library.
They have to go pick up.
Yeah, she becomes the delivery person for the archives. Like she goes and picks up the requested books, and then she takes them back, blah blah blah.
Yeah. So you get to see a little bit, like there's a hint of longing and
and she
how she thought she wanted to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that part though is where where she's going and she's like reminiscing and being like, I could have been here. That felt like more of like an acceptance of like she has come to understand that she doesn't want that anymore. But at the beginning, her trying to sneak back and then backing out would have been a good like scene. It would have been a good part to show us that she really did want to be a scribe. But
shit happened.
we get a little bit, we do get a little bit of that. I guess her being the smartest girl in the room during classes.
Yeah.
During the educational classes. So we don't even see the history class, which is the perfect time to give us history and exposition, but we don't see that. What was it called?
Battle prep or
no, someone a T. Battle brief? That's not
battle
right.
brief.
Yeah, battle brief. We see a little bit of that. I'm such a smart girl in the battle brief. Where she's told, hey, don't have other people ask your questions.
Right, because she got Reed to ask a question for her. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She got reprimanded, like, oh, don't have other people ask your questions, ask them yourself. And I'm like, no teacher fucking gives a shit.
No.
Like,
I don't know what kind of teachers y'all had, but mine sure did that. Sure as hell did that.
Were you having other people ask your questions?
Yes, and what about it?
It's okay. We're just right here.
Also going to mention here, during these battle brief classes, she just knows whenever Xaden enters the room.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't know whenever Dean enters the room.
Fucking sense.
The tingles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, oh yeah, he's here. He's watching.
She's so
me.
hot and bothered by this man. It's just
she gets forehead tingles. She has a spider sense. Spidey senses. That's all I imagined every time was Spidey senses. You know how
Same.
it goes like, woo.
What'd she call it? Prickling on her scalp or some shit like that?
Yeah, something like that.
Like the back and her scalp prickled or something like that. Oh, you know what we didn't talk about? We didn't mention, because this is important for when they start doing the sparring. Her sister gave her
the dragon scale bag
with the dragon scales. Her sister's dragon, she collected the scales and then shrank them down, apparently, to make a corset, like an armored corset that she could put her daggers in. And like, I liked that. That to me was cool, but why the hell did nobody else think of it?
This is why her sister is the golden child and like one of the best. She's a lieutenant. I don't think it's just her signet.
So no, her signet. What was her signet? Like something. She does something with the barriers.
Yeah.
Wards. Yeah. But I'm a little confused about the rankings. So there's the wings, so it's like first wing, second wing, third wing, fourth wing.
First wing
originally gets placed in second wing.
Right.
And then for whatever reason during that part after the parapet, she gets switched over to fourth wing, which is Xaden's wing. But he's the main dog in charge of that wing, right?
Yeah.
And then there's squads.
Yeah, just like in RO.
So there's a
platoon leader
each wing, but all the wings are equal.
Yeah. So the wings are equal, but then it's broken down into like squads and teams.
Squad leader and the freshmen. We're just gonna call them freshmen because that's what they are, first years.
Yeah. Well, okay. So no, each wing had like a section. They had like the flame So it was fourth wing, and then flame section,
Tail section.
and then there was squads within each of those.
We're just gonna move past that because it's a lot to explain. You gotta read it.
It's very confusing, and so I don't understand the breakdown. I think it's supposed because Rebecca Yarros is a military brat and military wife, so I feel like she does base a lot of it off of that, but it's still confusing how she has it broken down.
Hey man, y'all are the military brats. Y'all should know.
We are the military brats, but so we have an opinion or two of how this military is run. And we were also both in ROTC.
Yeah, to me, when I read that, it was just, okay, this is first platoon, second platoon, third platoon, and then each platoon had like a squad leader, and then the rest of us were just crewmates, or like not crewmates, but you know what I mean, cadets. Thank you. Yeah. So when she was like, oh, this your flame squad or your tail squad, I'm like, okay, so you're first, you're second, you're all equal.
Talon, wing, flame.
It was flame, talon, tail.
Yeah,
I think
it was hard. Flame, talon, tail, wing.
No, wing.
It was all of Kumandra at this point.
So. Yeah, it's you could spend forever on it because it's confusing, but so the battle brief, everyone's in that. It doesn't matter what year you are, you're all in that. She's getting her chance to shine, to show us that, oh, she's the smartest girl in the room, and all the teachers already know her. Like, and there's a little bit of favoritism.
What? Well, I mean, when two of the professors are introduced, yes, because one of them is from the scribe quadrant, and the other one is a friend of the person from the scribe quadrant. I think that's why there is favoritism, but for the rest of the teachers, definitely not.
Well, okay, so she's the general's
daughter.
Child. She's the general's daughter. She's been at this college for 5 years, living there because that's where her mom's stationed. And so she knows most of the professors, including the scribes. And what was his name? Markham? The main scribe. She was supposed to be like his last prodigy, his crowning achievement or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, he sees her and he's like upset that she's there, but just accepts it as well.
So after, we're introduced to the classes and things, we're introduced to sparring, which is where it gets a little spicy, a little interesting.
Yes. So we're introduced to Imogen, who is her first opponent, and this is when it's made a little bit more clear. Besides when she hurt her leg, she actually is fragile. This isn't just like, oh, because she's so petite, so tiny, it's just a fragile little girl. She actually is fragile.
She has what do we call it?
EDS.
EDS, or Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. It's not called that in the book.
It's not called anything in the book.
What was that, Nikki?
It's not called anything in the book. She just continues to refer to herself as frail or weak, or that her body can't handle certain things.
Yeah, because throughout the entire book, she stays bandaged. She stays wrapped up. She stays in a fucking cast, basically.
Yeah. She it's a lot of it's to strengthen her joints, because EDS attacks your ligaments, joints, and muscles and makes them a little bit weaker. You're more prone to dislocating, breaking your bones. Your skin is more delicate, from what I understand. You're more likely to dislocate stuff. It basically, your body is falling apart on a constant basis.
That's my
And
mentality right there.
it's a chronic illness, and
Yep.
it would have been better if it was actually named instead of just calling it a weakness, calling it like, oh, my body's just weak. And we don't know if it's because like her mom got sick while she was pregnant with Violet, or if it literally is just something she was born with. Because her mom got sick when she was pregnant, and she blames that for the reason why Violet is so fair skinned and has dark to like the ends of her hair are silver, and she has this chronic disease.
Her mom also blames that on her dad keeping her in the scribe quadrant for as long as he did.
How dare you give her an education?
Yeah.
and want her to be smart.
Like, I could have trained my daughter to be this excellent writer, and you kept her down in the library with all those books. How dare you?
How dare you give her a fighting chance at life?
Yeah, I don't know what it's like to have EDS. I do have a bad knee and a bad shoulder, just from injuries from sports. It's really hard on the body, and you can't really be super active. You can't be into sports because you break easily, and we see that throughout the book. And the sparring, this is her sparring against Imogene, is where we really see it. She gets her arm ripped out of its socket, pretty much. And we learned that this happens like all the time. She breaks all the time. She's very familiar with
Pain.
The main mender.
Pain.
Who?
She's very familiar with pain and working through pain.
She's familiar with pain.
That's like one of her things.
Yeah.
So much so that
she's used to them putting her back together.
Yeah.
So that's when we meet Nolan. After the sparring match,
the main mender.
We find out that's something that he's healed her majority of her life, because she breaks so often.
And this is another person that is like, you should not be a writer. You should be in the scribe quadrant.
And then her and Nolan kind of make that deal, right? Like, this is the last time that he's gonna heal her. Right.
I think our lovely boy next door Damon.
Yeah, that's when he got like,
also
was
was
like,
quadrant.
Blah, 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 blah.
Don't.
Yeah,
can you not heal her? Can you just, put a thing on her
and tell her mom or some shit, or try to get her to convince try to get her being broken and like report it back to somebody.
Oh my god, that's right. He told I completely forgot. He told Nolan not to mend her.
Yeah.
Stupid bitch.
He thought that if Nolan mended her, it would make her appear as weaker than she was to everybody else in the writer's quadrant and make her more of a target.
I thought it was to
not mend because she already wasn't.
Oh no, she didn't want to get fully mended. She just wanted the
to be popped back in, right?
Yeah, she just wanted the sling, because she didn't want people to like target her more. Which it's like, babe, at this point you are target number one.
You're a Soaring Gale.
Which I'm surprised we don't see. Yeah, you're a Soaring Gale. You're going to be considered the weakest link because you're tiny.
We need to backtrack.
Apart.
We did not give the backstory of who the majority of the writers are. We didn't tell them about the traitors and who Zayden is. Damn.
Oh yeah. So yeah, Zayden is. So there was some revolution. Zayden is the son of the main revolutionary named the Great Betrayer, Fen Riorson. And we find this out later. But all the children of the traitors
had to watch their parents be murdered.
They had to watch their parents be killed, and then are now forced, like everybody was being conscripted anyways, but instead of them going just to like the normal infantry where they're conscripted, they're sent to the riders.
Wait, I thought it was later on in the book we found out that they didn't really have that choice. That's what the 107 slices on his back were. He made a deal.
The 107 children, he made a deal, give us this chance to live. But like he took the punishment or whatever. He got like whipped or stabbed or whatever 107 times.
So he signed his soul away, essentially. Xaden was like, if you give us this chance and you send them to the Riders Quadrant, I take responsibility for all of them.
We won't betray you.
We won't betray you. If somebody steps out of line, then I will pay the consequences.
And he's able to do that because he is the oldest, the most powerful, and he was the son of the great betrayer.
Yeah.
The great betrayer.
Such a great name.
But I wouldn't say it's most of them. It's actually in the book we only meet I think 7 of them. But he is the oldest. There's a lot of kids still to come because I think they said at one point the youngest child is 6.
Yeah.
So this is going to be going on for quite a few years unless something changes. But yeah, the Imogen is one of the children too. That's why she is so rough with Violet during their sparring. But you know who isn't? Jack isn't. Jack is not one of the children. So do not know why he's an asshole to her, but he's constantly
it's like he's got a fucking her. He's got a point to prove to himself.
Stick up his ass.
Like he's the best person in the fucking world. Yeah. Stupid little bitch.
Oh yeah, so killing some petite little woman is going to really show you.
But it's because of her name. Just because of her fucking name.
Yeah.
It is. It is. I would be more impressed if he took on Mira, honestly.
He can't, though. That's the thing. So, like...
No, he can't.
He can't challenge Mira. He can't... He has no dragon at that point. So, what's he going to do? He's gonna fucking pick on, tease, belittle the youngest Sorrengail and, I guess, show the general that way, hey, yeah, your kid ain't shit. I'm better than her. Ha ha ha.
In what world?
My thing is, like, they do talk a lot about, getting rid of the weakest link, right? That's one of the reasons why they're allowed to kill other cadets, except for when they're sleeping, except for when they're in formation, except for when blah, 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 all these exceptions. So when the fuck do they kill each other? He kills another person on the sparring mat when he was not supposed to, and he doesn't get reprimanded.
The only thing that happened was the professors called his name like enough, but he still did it, and they didn't do shit about it.
Yeah, he's like, oh, it's not my fault. His neck was so weak. Dude, you were told to stop. So yeah, it was your fault, but he doesn't get reprimanded for that. And I think at that point he threatens her again.
She's like, your neck.
And she's like, fuck you. I'll give her that. Like, sometimes she's sassy and I like it. But other times it's like, why are you an idiot?
Yeah, and this is where her book smarts come into play because she's figured out, as we've already said multiple times, hey, I'm the weakest person here. So when it comes to sparring, when it comes to challenges, instead of trying to overpower these opponents of mine, I am going to fucking poison them.
Yes, so her sister leaves her a book called The Book of Brennan, which was written by their dead brother who died during the Revolution. Hey,
no spoilers.
And this book.
I said, hey, no spoilers.
This whole thing is going to be spoilers. He died during the Revolution. Xaden's dad's the one that killed him. And he wrote this book it's basically a diary of all the ins and outs of this damn school. I'm like, how fucking convenient is that? And she finds out
it's like
how
the Marauders
she can know who she's fighting. It's like the Marauders map.
Yeah.
Marauders map.
Marauders map.
So yeah, she decides, oh, I'm going to just poison my opponents. And like, yeah, that's big brain, except for she makes it a little too obvious. I'm like, how does nobody catch on
Until
except
the
for
last
Zayden?
one where
Like,
she did it too fucking early.
Yeah, she did it too early.
And then he excuses himself from the fucking match, and guess whose baby daddy stepped in? My man, my man, my man. He's like, I'll do it. I'll fight you. Because he knows.
He kicks her ass. He completely disarms her.
Oh my god.
Takes every single dagger out of her bag.
Keep in mind, this fight is after they meet, after Violet finds out, you know, the secret tree, the meeting at the tree.
Oh yeah, the completely innocent meeting under the tree.
Yeah, so also to backtrack just a little bit, the children of the traders are not allowed in bigger groups than groups of 3
because
it's against the law.
Because just in case they conspire, you know, because they can't conspire 3 at a time.
It's because what's his face? The general, not the general. Who's the highest? The king? He can't see them with the people with the scars or the scrolls, whatever.
No, it's General Melgreen. So you were right. It's General.
He can, with his power. He has the gift of foresight, right? He can't see an outcome if there's more than 3 of the traders together.
Because so his dragon marked them all with like a traitor symbol, and I think what it is like depending on what, like how high in the rebel group their parent was, depends on how big their that marking is. So like Zayden's is his entire arm up to his neck, and it like coils around his neck, while somebody we see much earlier in the book who's not named just has it around their wrist. And then like Imogene's is like only up her forearm or something. Like it depends on where their parents were ranked in the rebels, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense though.
That was just my conclusion. It's not made clear. But yeah, his power is a little confusing because it's described as he can see the outcomes of every battle, but not everything is a battle. And like if they're meeting up, he wouldn't be getting visions of them at all. You know? My theory is it's more than that. His foresight is more than just the outcomes of battle, but because he's predicted the battle so much, that's how they describe it. I think there's more to his ability, but we just didn't go into it.
Okay, back to the tree. This, you know how, it was after Imogen whoops her ass, right? She's bandaged up.
Yeah.
She's trying to go and...
It's like a couple days or weeks later. It's like a couple days or weeks later. Her arm's healed a little bit.
It was her foot. I thought it was her foot that was also fucked up. Or her knee.
Yeah, she injured her knee on the parapet, but that healed relatively quickly because nothing like fell out of place. It just bruised, while her arm was completely dislocated. She practically ripped it off. That's my
girl! Anyways. Yeah, so basically Sorrengail's like, I can't beat them in physical combat, so I'm gonna poison them all. So while she's out collecting her poisonous berries, you know, for the potions and shit, she comes across the tree that she needs it from. She climbs the tree, and all of a sudden, guess who shows up below her? Zayden and the other fucking betrayer's children.
Yeah, and they have an innocent meeting where it looks like it
was like innocent because he was just basically like, "What are you doing? How can I help you make this easier?"
Yeah,
I'm
he was
tell
just
you
trying
right
to help
now,
them.
It only looked like that because he knew she was there.
Valid. He controls shadows, guys. By the way, we didn't mention that. And this was at nighttime.
This is when we find out that he can control and manipulate shadows. He could sense her because of her shadow.
I think
he decides not to kill her. She's like, probably. He's like, oh, if you keep my secret, I won't kill you. And she's like, he's definitely going to kill me. She thinks for most of this book, oh, he's going to kill me. Even though he tells her multiple times, I'm not going to kill you.
Hey, man, when you've grown up your whole life, well, not your whole life, for 6 years, hating the people who killed your brother, I would feel that way too. So she makes the promise not to tell anybody because it was an innocent meeting. It was perceived to be innocent. And then we go to the next day, which is sparring, right? Is it called sparring? Or
it's not the next day. It is a couple days later. They're
Challenges.
challenges. So she's getting challenged, and her first challenger is a kid named Oren, who she does poison his eggs, and she's able to beat him and get his dagger. And then this happens like a handful more times until, yeah, it happens a couple more times. That's why she got like on the breakfast shift so she can poison their food when they come and get it. My thing is she was a little too obvious about it.
Every
because,
single
like,
one of them,
she's
like,
winning
come
them.
on.
Every single one of them, when you're like the weakest person here, like she should have like skipped.
I mean,
one or
granted,
two,
she did different
because
poisons for everybody, so it was like different different symptoms.
She did different administrations. Yeah, it was different symptoms, it was different things, but like they were all
they were all
sick
physical ailments.
right before fighting her. So it was a little too obvious. So at first, yes, big brain, and then it's a little too obvious. Xaden figures it out. He kicks her ass to be like, you're not going to be able to poison everybody. Like, when you're out there in the real world, you're not going to be able to poison the Griffin riders. Oh, okay, so you know how later in the book he calls them flyers?
Yeah.
He should have slipped at that point and called them flyers. That would have been good character building right there. It would have been good world building right there, because he makes such a big point of it later on.
Yeah, but I think it's also,
like, he doesn't slip up there.
The mystery and the fact that he's so good at keeping secrets that's why she didn't let it slip. Because I feel like he is so great when it comes to differentiating the two between that life and the life of further on in the book.
Maybe. I still think it would have been a good chance to put in a little bit. That way it paid off later. Like, because it's not something you're going to think about immediately in that moment. But it would pay off later.
Maybe she didn't want to make it too obvious.
Do you guys know... Maybe. Do you guys know the saying Chekhov's gun?
No.
So a Chekhov's gun is a writing device where you present something in your writing, so like a skill or a little fact, and then it later pays off. So like in Harry Potter, for example, we learn Harry's a natural when it comes to flying on brooms, and then that later pays off for him when he's trying to get to the Sorcerer's Stone. So it's putting in a fact or something that, because if you're going to hang up a gun in like clear view, if you're going to have access to it, you're going to use it. So that's why it's called Chekhov's gun, because that's the example he used. But it's putting in a skill or a tidbit and then having that pay off later. So in this book, we do have that instance with Jack during one of the later fights, and it happens a little too close to each other, but we find out Jack is like allergic. Oranges. He gets offered an orange,
and he like throws it away.
Yeah, I can't remember
if
he says like, "Are you trying to kill?"
It was from Riddick.
What?
He was trying to offer him.
No, it was from one of his lackeys.
I could have swore it was from Riddick.
I don't know. Somebody offers him an orange. He's like, "Are you?" I think he said, "Are you trying to kill me?" And then like throws it away, and then that immediately pays off. That was a little too obvious, but that's the example.
Yeah.
Like he's allergic to oranges. She then uses oranges against him.
How she poisons her last challenge person way too soon. Zayden has to kick her ass. So Zayden jumps in, is like, I'll fight with you.
Yeah.
Disarms this woman. Takes out every single dagger that's hidden in that nice corset that her sister made, and points out to her, hey, I know what you're doing. I know that you're poisoning all your people, which is good, but I know better poison menders.
Poison masters.
Poison masters, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a shit ton of sexual tension because
he's practically mounted her.
Yeah, and what about it?
Practically at this point. I also think that besides this being an enemies to lovers kind of thing, that the author was trying to hint at Violet's dragon being mated to Zayden's dragon. Because of how, like, attracted she is to this man, even though she's not supposed to be attracted to this man.
Well, we didn't even know about dragons being able to mate until that happened.
Right.
Yeah,
But, like, all the hints and, like, how she can sense him in a room without even fucking knowing. And this is before we get to...
So you think there might have been, like, a little bit of the bond already there before they bonded?
Yes.
I guess I could explain the teams, although it's still a weird thing.
Sense.
It's still a weird thing.
It's still a weird thing. But, this is where I want to jump in and say, hey, join us for part 2, where we talk about, the gauntlet, because
the gauntlet, threshing.
Yeah, the gauntlet, threshing.
The rest of it.
And our final thoughts on it.
This book was honestly something. There's just too much to go over, despite there being big sections not big sections, but there's parts where it's like, oh, nothing happened. Like, how did nothing happen? Everyone's dying constantly, but nothing of significance happens.
There's just a lot of content, and there's also 3 very intelligent women on this podcast who have very detailed opinions about this piece of writing. So
we gotta learn to trim it down because it's 44 minutes and we haven't even made it past the first part, bro.
Well,
I think it's one of those things that we all have something to say about it. And sometimes these videos are going to be in 1 or 2 parts. It just depends on the content of the book and how much we personally each have to say about it. But yeah, catch us for part 2, which will hopefully be coming out shortly after this one. And we thank you guys so much for joining us. Let us know in the comments how you feel about this book. Did you love it? Do you hate it? Do you like Dane? Which characters was your favorite? Are you excited about the dragons? Because we're talking about the dragons next time. Yeah.
And all their weird names.
Hey, I like them.
And yeah, all their weird, hard to pronounce names. Like, I literally have to go back and reread the whole thing of Taryn's name because it was long as shit. But
he even told her that it was going to take a bit to say it. But please like and subscribe. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok,
YouTube.
I believe YouTube, which this will be posted to later. Also, I believe there will be a Facebook one day, so keep an eye out for that. And yeah,
this is the TBR Network, and we are signing off. I'm Frankie.
I'm Nikki.
And I'm Tara. Check out the links below. Find us on our social media.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.